Back on the bench today, we've got the HP 4957A protocol analyzer, and today I have three objectives. One is to replace the power connector. Once the power connector is replaced, then I want to apply power and see if it's going to keep the magic smoke contained inside this time. Then I want to run the software that I have, which was what I was trying to do last time. And finally, what I want to do is adjust the CRT display because at the moment it is shifted too low. So let's make a start. In my last video about the protocol analyzer, an attempt to run the software ended when the magic smoke was released when the power connector failed. Well, on the bench today I have a replacement connector. After 30 or so years, the same company is still making a connector that is the same as the one that is fitted in the protocol analyzer. It has little wedges on the ends here to hold it in place. It certainly appears to have the same connections, the same form factor, and it should be a one-for-one replacement. So let's go ahead and fit it and turn on the protocol analyzer and see if the magic smoke stays inside this time. Removing the power connector from the rear panel took way longer than it should have. I ended up having to cut off the plastic tags at the ends of the connector so that I could slide the connector through the rear panel. Installing the new power connector took a lot more effort than I ever expected. The problem was that the sharp edge on the metalwork of the rear panel prevented the new connector sliding in with the locking plates in place. These locking plates fit under the tabs that are on each end of the connector, and they were restrictive enough and the corners of the rear panel sharp enough that they prevented the connector being pushed into place. The solution was to round off the outer edges of the rear panel metalwork so that the tabs could slide over them, allowing the connector to be pushed into place. And once it was in place, there's no way that it was going to come out again unless I cut the tabs off. If I was doing this again, I would absolutely get the identical replacement part. Any other solution would be a compromise, potentially affecting safety, but by far the easiest solution is to simply replace the rear connector with the exact same component. So for anyone else taking this job on, the easiest way of removing the rear connector is to cut off the tabs at each end of the connector, top and bottom, and push the connector out through the rear panel. Round off the rear edges of the aperture for the connector so that when you push the connector in, which has the locking plates installed, will allow the connector to be pushed into place. And once in place, the locking plates will ensure the connector will remain in place. So let's power it on. I've got my power meter connected up off camera, and I'm going to switch that on to apply power to the protocol analyzer, and let's see what happens. Okay, we've got beeps, we've got a screen, we've got no smoke. Everything seems to be okay. Well, that's a success. I'm going to adjust the trim pots to see if I can correct the CRT display. I've made a special little screwdriver here, which is basically a bamboo skewer with a tiny little bit of metal on the end of it, so that I can poke down into where there's quite a bit of high voltages around without zapping myself. So let's see, we've got a self-test, we've got CRT displays, we've got alignment. Now the trick here is that I'm not sure which trim pot is the right one. I've only got details for the previous version, so I found two trim pots that are approximately the right location. So let's see if I can get the right one here. So I'm just reaching down into the first trim pot, and I'm just going to turn that and see if it makes any difference. I've got to get it lined up and in first. Okay, so let's see if this makes any change. Bingo, first time. Exactly the right one. Straight off. Okay, so that is nearly in the right position in terms of vertical. Okay, so I can move that up and down. That looks pretty right to me. Okay, so I'm on the second trim pot that I can see down there. Oh, that's okay. So this second trim pot is vertical gain, so I can adjust how tall the display is. The other trim pot adjusted where it is. We've now ended up with the display where it should be, so I'm going to exit out of that, and now the menu, the soft menus down here, are fully displayed in the correct location. So I'm just going to leave it at that and close this up and call it done. I'm going to divide this and create a separate video on running the software.